burglaries in the last 6 months have been 553. Home break-ins have been 114. Office break-ins have been 60. And when we look at sex offenses, rape has about 113 cases in the last 6 months. Defilement is at 725. Indecent assault, which is 19. And I would like the Afande to explain to us what exactly indecent assault means. Theft of cars is at 447. And then we have the child-related offenses. Those are the statistics that we got from the police earlier this week, and they'll be running on the screen as we continue with our discussion. But let's meet our guests for this evening. And I'll start with Afande Emilian Kaima, who is the Metropolitan Police spokesperson. Welcome.
Thank you. Proud to be on the show.
All right, thank you. And then we have Liliana Bear, who is the first female chairperson of the National Youth Council.
Thank you very much, and good evening, viewers.
Okay, and then we have Blaise Kamchia, who is the National Coordinator of the Crime Prevention Movement and the Executive Director of National Crime Preventers Forum, which is a mass movement that boosts 11 million crime preventers. Am I right on the numbers?
You're
right. And a network up to village level in all parts of Uganda. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Josephine, and good evening, viewers.
Right, so let's say it as it is. Let's get started with our conversation. Well, the statistics we just shared, Afande Kaima, you shared them with me. Are these countrywide or is this Kampala?
These are the figures for Kampala Metropolitan and the reported cases. Of course, we would have to break them down into which ones have been investigated, which cases were detected. There are those that are not detected, like say children are missing and you report. Then you recover them and you don't tell the police.
Okay.
Now, those are not detected, but there are those that we follow up to the end. The figures should be able to show that, but of course, we didn't share all of those. But those that are reported are enough to point a picture to how the situation looks like in Kampala Metropolitan, which takes the district of Kampala, of Mukono, and the entire Wakiso. Okay. So that's Kampala Metropolitan Police.
Are we able, with these figures, are we able to say which is the worst affected area?
When you look at the demographics, the areas that are highly populated, and for example, when you go downtown, it's different from upscale areas. So crimes happen more in overpopulated areas that are more into semi-rural or rural, or the urbanized. Like when you go to Chisenyi, there's a lot of crime happening. When you go to Katanga.
Also, it depends on which crime exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Many of these that we've seen, sex-related burglaries, much of these happen downtown than the upscale.
The upscale. Well, I actually read your article that runs on Thursdays, and one of the things you said this Thursday actually, was that car thefts are on the rise, and you said about 1 or 2 each day.
Yes.
But you describe the thieves as usually below the age of 30, reckless, heartless criminals driven by money. And that seems to be the trend of criminals below 30. And that's why we have youth representative here, because we are looking at solutions. So Lilian, it's great to have you here with us. But why do you think it is people below the age of 30 or within that age bracket that are mentioned in cases like this?
Well, I think Uganda today is grappling with the immense population of the young people, being 78% of the total population of the young people being young. And if you look at the kind of urban-driven move today, that when I am in Kitgum or when I am in Kapchora, I really think that if I get to Kampala, that I would have made it in life. So when they reach the cities, they tend to find life not the way they expected. And with these pressing issues of unemployment, those are the reasons why I think you find the young people involved in such. And as the police and the lawmakers, we really need to have a point of concern in this and come up with very key issues and how we can address it. But also, I did not hear Fande mention the issue of drug abuse.
So what he shared was some of the findings that they have. He didn't share, for example, he didn't talk about homicide and quite a number of other issues, but he promised that he's going to talk about it, and we're going to get to it at some point in the show.
Absolutely.
But I wonder, the age group of 30, does it cut across to even these crimes like homicide and all the others that were not included in what you shared?
Yes, the statistics we have cut across. It's quite bigger, but I shared those because they're outstanding, and many of us are either victims or actors. Yes, it does. Young people have been driven into crime, and I take it further than just the streets. That's just where we live. I want to take it back to the family. The dysfunctionality of the family, in my view, is driving them crazy. They want to run out of home, to go get rich very quickly, and like she says, when they come to Kampala, it's not sweet as they expected.
Rosy, yes.
Yeah, and most of them have had issues with the family, with their significant others, so they want to live on their own, and they get involved into crime. And one after the other, they become better into crime. And quite often, when you visit our cells, it's young people who are there. So we are saying, what is it that we are not doing?
Right.
What is it that we are not? Are we not communicating in the language they understand? Aren't we keeping them in school and in homes more? Last week, what we didn't share, last week we took 8 people to court for dealing in drugs, cocaine, marijuana. This marijuana they grow. And they had 10 bags, 400 sticks in Karerwe and Kagugube alone. And this business, you know, there is a lot to fear for them because it's addictive, it's criminal, it's dangerous. In the statistics we showed also, the trafficking, when they come to Kampala and things are not sweet, so they now want to take it further, to go abroad.
Yes.
And guess what that means? Some of them would be trafficked, some of them would be killed there because they have probably not even shared with those that seem to know better, that would guide them. Even where you are going, maybe it's not roses, but because you want to do it on your own, and people are ready to cheat you. So many have been cheated. So many have taken loans to the tune of 10 million shillings, wanting to go abroad, and they still cheat them. And they're dealing with people they have never met. And when you ask, what drives you? You wonder. You want to go back and think.
When you mentioned that, how many bags of marijuana?
10.
10 bags of marijuana. And these are grown, of course, in areas that are not in the middle of the town. And I know we have somebody from the crime preventers. Where are the crime preventers in all of this? I thought you guys were at the grassroots, because that's what, you know, everything that you say stands for. We're the grassroots, we are chosen by our community leaders, and, you know, your eyes are on the ground.
True. See, Josephine, whereas we have crime preventers spread across the country, like you earlier introduced, the 11 million, even numbers are adding up.
Yes.
But we don't have to forget the question of sensitization. First of all, getting to know what amounts to crime. Some of these things are happening and people look at them and they don't know.
So growing marijuana is actually, is it okay?
True, some people may not think it's criminal.
Exactly.
So the crime preventers might not know that it's illegal.
What we need.
Is it trying to say crime preventers cannot notice marijuana as being grown within?
Growing is there.
Yes.
But the knowledge to know that this really is illegal, it is not supposed to be done, is something.
Or that this is marijuana.
No. There is getting to know that it is there, and the use of it is illegal, but people don't know that growing it is possibly not supposed to be done. And to ordinary people, they don't know that, and that's the challenge we're having as crime. And this phase we're going through. How do we train, sensitize them, engage them to know the law, because they will not ultimately keep the law and order without understanding.
How much power do you have as a crime preventer? So if you found me growing marijuana in my garden, what are you going to do?
You report to police.
So you, the crime preventer, you're going to go and tell
Yes.
the police she has...
Crime prevention is really more of an information structured system to the police, things with the police. Ultimately, you're not going to arrest. The most important thing you will do by standard is reporting to the nearby police.
I've had so many stories, and the fingers are always pointing at the crime preventers. There's the actual criminals.
No, you see, there is
a couple of weeks ago, we spoke to slum dwellers, and they were saying that the crime preventers here just come and do this to all of us, but they're the ones who are...
What is like the previous speakers try to note out to the young population that is all across, and of course the economic challenges, the hardships, then you have the social challenges. There is a very big degree of moral decay. There is immorality all over, and that is something that should concern us, because of immorality, ultimately crime is on the rise. And a few individuals who have come out as crime preventers, some people are finding it difficult to cope up with that change. Because, for example, you talk about slums, like he said, you find higher increase in crime is possible in the most of it is in the slum dwellers, and crime preventers are a burden to the thugs and the idle. Actually, most of the complaints were coming because of idle and disorderly when those operations were being carried on, until when the president instructed that we have to.
Yeah, because that's a very difficult thing to identify. How do you tell me I'm idle and disorderly?
But crime preventers are necessary, and when you move on ground, the local leaders are appreciative.
You were mandated to form a national crime prevention policy.
Not mandated. What happens? Crime preventers are under police across the country, because policing is technical work. I think Kaima will explain more. Crime preventers in their respective parts across the country, up to sub-county level, they are under the OC stations, under the police. So in these operations, like you asked me earlier, police is supposed to provide guidance. What the crime preventers do is identify and report.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Josephine, I think I would like to make a comment, just a brief one. The challenge that we have right now is lack of coordination among all the stakeholders. We have got good structures set up to the grassroots level. For example, the National Youth Council, which is the apex of the youth leadership, has got leadership up to the village level. The crime preventers has got leadership up to the village level as well, I guess. The police is also there. You have the resource, the DSOs, and but these different stakeholders, some of them do not even know each other, So when issues of the crimes cannot be done on an individual basis, we're saying, okay, this is the role of the crime preventers. For me, I don't even think that we should look at the reactive measure. Rather, we look at the proactive measures. And in this, we'll have to ensure that all the institutions, all the different segments are doing their role, which starts from the family, just like he hinted on.
Yes.
What is the family doing? What is the young person in that family doing? What is the church saying? And what is the government doing? And what are the law enforcement people doing? Because, for example, if I am a parent, I'm a mother, the best I would do is to go to work, read my news on NTV, like Josephine Karungi, come back home, get on WhatsApp. I need to catch up with everyone, the friends. I do not even know whether my child went to school.
How is that possible that you would not know whether your child went to school?
It is very possible, Josephine. Today, we have parents who leave home at 5 in the morning, and they leave the maids to take the children, waiting for the pickups to take them to school. The maid could have not taken the child. They would have negotiated that, leave me to rest today, I want to go and check on something, and will not report to you. You will go and work, return at around 10, you're tired, you need to rest, and get ready for tomorrow again, waking up at 5. So there's a lot of negligence in Uganda today. People are not doing their role.
So it goes back to the family.
Exactly.
Josephine, I supplement on what she's saying to add more fresh on it. I think over time crime is getting better and better organized. It is no longer the other traditional petty crime that we used to have. If it is car theft, you'll find it is at an organized level. It is not just an individual stealing a car. If it is burglary, the same problem. If it is rape, you'll find it's the same problem. That organized with a network, which means all the stakeholders must be organized from the grassroots. We must be organized from the grassroots. And that's why crime preventers are playing an important role. The question of Mayumba Kumi, where the police is emphasizing that every homestead must be part and parcel of security. You must be the first line of defense for your community before the police comes in. And that's what the crime preventers are trying to do. And that's what we are trying to put across, that before you think of police coming in, before the homes themselves must be the first line of defense. Okay. So we need to be organized as stakeholders in the fight against crime. Okay.
And to qualify that, and this is really a good discussion, for viewers out there, just ask yourself, do you know your neighbor? Do you know your neighbor? Are you friends? Do you have their contact? Do you have the phone number of your OC police in the area? If you don't, all these are weaknesses that point to a fact that once attacked, for example, the officer will take long to identify who you are and where you are because you don't know each other. That relationship is not there. Your neighbor will not bother when you raise an alarm. They might even switch off their lights, thinking they are safer in their house, but they are not. And guess what? Criminals who attack and abuse our rights are people within our communities. They don't come from very far, so they understand the dynamics, and they're all over us. Somehow we know them, but we lack the assertiveness to say, these are the ones. Even when we pick them, honestly, and you apprehend some, the community, it has refused to go out of the minds of the community that this one is a suspect. Even when we get you red-handed, you're a suspect, because that's what the law presumes. So when you arrest, you go through the process, you give bond. The community gives up on you and says, this police, when they arrest people, they let them go scot-free. No, they have not. So when we ask for statements, some of them don't give them. When they are bold enough to give, they might not go to court. And all these are weaknesses that give this suspected criminal power to even sit on your rights and say, from here you know the officer. You cannot take me anywhere. I've heard them say that. And what does that take us to? You'll see the statistics. Mob justice, which is not justice at all. So when they get somebody breaking somebody's house, there and then. And once you kill this person, we shall come for each of you. So there is no amount of crime that justifies crime. So we come for you. Then we are in confrontation with the community. But I've been in community policing for long. We talk to the communities. The mind to appreciate the law is still lacking. Our communities need to appreciate the tenets of the law.
Afande Kaima, I don't want us to go very far in this discussion without actually talking about what has stood up more than most of the other crimes we might talk about, the very disturbing murders of these young girls. But before we talk about that, let's take a short break. At least it'll give us a starting point when we come back. We'll be right back. So we're coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Conference Center. And just before we took a break, I was asking you, Afande, about these grisly matters of these young women who were murdered, raped, murdered, and then sticks inserted into their private parts, their mouths. Where are we on that?
It's horrible. It's bad to lose lives and lose them in that manner. It started with Nansana, then Entebbe, which is all Wakiso. In Nansana, we've largely contained it to the point that for the last 2 weeks or 3, we've not registered any murders. There are some girls that died in Nansana and were unable to identify who they were. And that points a question again to what we need to do when we are moving anywhere. What do we have to have? For quick identification, you must have a document that will identify you for quick intervention.
If something happens to you. But Afande, when you say we've largely contained it.
I'm going to explain that.
Okay.
But in Nansana, we have stopped it as far as today when I came here. No other death has happened apart from a lady who was suspectedly murdered by her boyfriend, and the two were arrested in court.
The two were arrested, her boyfriend and who?
And the housemaid.
Oh, okay.
And there is evidence showing there is a relationship, but of course, courts will determine. We have close to 4 people, if I'm not mistaken, for the Nansana issues in court. The other cases are being investigated. And the Inspector General of Police has taken proactive steps to stop these senseless murders, himself taking the front, and is pitched camp in these 2 places. Again, reinvigorating the systems, the neighborhood watch systems, the Mayumba Kumi system, the community policing, the strategic deployments, and working with the communities. And that has paid. In Wakiso, same, in Katavi, which is Entebbe, same story, except the gruesome murder of that lady last week. She went to work. On the 13th, she did not come home, and reports were made to the police quickly. So we mounted a search together with the communities and crime preventers in the area, and we discovered her decomposing body on the 17th. That one, we have not got the breakthrough in as far as those concerned are holding them responsible. But in the other cases, many of them were apprehended. Some are already in court. The cases are already in court. A few are being investigated, not yet in court, but there is something we are doing. The communities have largely appreciated the measures we put in place. But the best thing would be no life should be lost.
But what drives those kinds of matters?
Well, I remember in 1998, there were murders at Makerere University. I remember very well. And they were targeting girls until one criminal was arrested. Actually, he had promised, that very criminal had promised to kill, if you remember, if Ugandans remember, to kill Brigadier Kayanja, because Brigadier Kayanja was heading Wembley, Operation Wembley. And he himself said, I'm going to put you out of action, until he was put out of action himself, and the murders stopped. So in this, there are those that we have in court. Until we conclude, we may not be able right now to say, this is the driver. We may not be able. And for those who have studied criminology, some of them have told us, there are people who enjoy, who derive joy from inflicting pain, from committing such crimes. We don't want to put a conclusion on anything, but these are all lines that we are following. Hopefully, we'll get there. And
Josephine, to
yes, please.
supplement on what Kaima is saying, of course, for example, for ladies, and what the police is trying to do is that, of course, ladies are looked at as a weaker sex, and therefore they need protection. But we look at giving them self-defense skills, that they're able to protect themselves. In terms of taekwondo, martial arts, and that actually we had the same problem in Makerere some years back when we had begun visiting students because they were being raped, female students, and what the police did was providing these students with the taekwondo skills.
Is this something the crime preventers working with the police
yes,
are looking at doing
actually, that's what is being, it is going to be massively rolled out with the police, of course. And that's what
do we have a set date? Do we have a time frame we're looking at?
You want to be part of this?
So we want to see results. We want to see things happen. Oh, it's begun?
Police has a technical team which trains in taekwondo. And
you know, Josephine, my challenge with the two is one. There is there's some bit of reluctancy on handling these issues, just like Afande stated. Most of these criminals, actually, they pronounce themselves, and they know them. Where they live, some of them, they even coordinate with some police officers who know them. They are perpetual criminal people. And when they arrest them today, tomorrow they are given a bond, they come back to the community. Some of them are even friends with some police officers. I'm not saying there's any who is a friend to them.
Yeah, we've had that. We've had that.
We have had that.
But
So
I would
when
really
we
think
hear,
that is
when we hear about something cooking up, even when we have heard of something which has taken place, a girl has been beaten somewhere, you had someone making noise, we do not have kind of emergency response within the police yet. Okay. And I would love to see that.
No,
I would want to make a correction because I don't think it is true that of course to assert.
So are you speaking as the police or as a crime preventer?
As a crime preventer.
But she said it was the police. So Afande Kaiba, do you want to tell us if these people are
No,
of course I'm an observer. Being a crime preventer makes you really part and parcel of the police family.
Okay.
So I don't think it is right to collectively assert that police is friends with the criminals, because these people who commit these crimes are actually known by us, people in the communities. What we need to do, and what we have been not doing, is creating a watch list. You create a watch list. If John has been in prison for 10 years, he's back, ultimately you need to follow him up and know what is happening to John, what is he doing. If there is a group of young people praying pool every morning, you need to find out what, for them they are always praying morning, pool from morning to evening. What do they do?
Mr.
How do
Blaze,
they earn?
do you know,
That one becomes a concern.
do you know that when you go to CPS today and you report that your phone was lost, and a funder will ask you which area, okay? You say, this area around Katwe, say, this must be this so and so. I've got experience this myself. You know?
Exactly.
And this is judicial notice.
They have a watch list.
These things happen.
And this is what we need to do. We who have gone to school, we who are assertive enough, who can put our foot down and demand the best service, must not create an impression in the minds of others, especially those that we lead, that you know, even if you do anything, nothing is going to change. Please don't do that. Help them to understand this. We do profiling of criminals. When we arrest you, we watch you. And car robbers will not be into phone thefts. They will not. So when we arrest them, either we get them convicted or they are acquitted, we'll still watch them. Now, there are those who will commit certain crimes and they are the same categories, so we watch them. So if you report a matter, the crime intelligence bit of our arm would want to study that. What happened? How did it happen? So once they have a pattern, they may point to a direction. That does not mean that we work with them. Please don't do that. When you do that, you have disempowered Ugandans. You have told them, keep away from the police. And this is what I say. Fraudsters in this country, fraudsters, there is a way they will tell you in your mind to keep away from the police because they can reach there for you. I can see Afande. I have his phone number. And when they call you, he'll even call you pseudonyms. How are you, Mnywanyi? How can we meet? How can we have a cup of coffee? Meanwhile, the people they are going to rob, to malice, to abuse in all ways around them. Now, when you call me Mnywanyi, it's not a crime. Many times I don't even know them. When I was here, somebody called me and I shared with him. He said, is this police? I said, yes. Yango, all about wale Uganda. I died. You know? How do I do this? This tells you, many times you want to think, with whom are they? So, crime is a mind game.
It's a mind game.
What I would tell Ugandans, especially young people, they are the actors and they are the victims. Why? They don't know. Please search for knowledge. Let police be your friends. Many people will ask you whether you can visit the police. Why not? I have so many delegations of students who come to visit us at CPS, and this is what I do. I take them around. We even go to the cells. They see what is happening, and when we see it, we dissect. How many people did you see? How many are young people? How many male? How many female?
I want to give a chance to the audience to ask you questions before we let you go. So we'll take the very first question.
Yes, thank you. I'm Taiwo Osbat. At the start, you have talked about urbanization, and it's about only youth, and it's not like that. The youth are the only criminals, but also they have trainers. Those are the old people.
The youth are being trained by somebody.
I asked a question in that column, and I agree with you. In that column that I wrote, I thought about deeply. where do these street children go? Because they grow. They grow, produce children. So how do they transition into hardcore criminals? Probably. And because they've suffered all of this, they learn survival skills. And we, who are victims of crime, become weaker because they know what we don't know. So it's high time that we thought about serious solutions. Some of them very unpopular. As a country, as institutions mandated to do this.
For example?
I gave a hard one.
For example?
In one country that I know, this is what they did. They sat down and studied this. We've been told, and something that the ministry is studying, that some people benefit from carrying these children from wherever they get them from to the streets to play the role of NGO and earn money out of them. We've heard that. Ministry is investigating that. So we must put a stop to that. We must make home enjoyable, school enjoyable, but also what I suggested, I don't have the powers to effect. If I did, I would build an institution like a university. Put all the facilities there. Get the trainers there. Round them up. There is no need for justice. Take them to these schools.
Round who up?
All these street children we see in town.
You'll have a big
Now, when we give, of course, NGOs will make noise, no problem. Once we take them and train them, and they are skilled, and the knowledge base, and they know they can earn something out of goodwill, when they come back, they will do it. And then they can be supported by the system.
Josephine,
I'm going to ask you to hold your thought, but you're going to share it. I just want to take at least 2 more questions. If you can ask yours and pass him the microphone very quickly.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Ajuna Tadeo. Actually, I would like to ask Afande and the one in charge of crime preventers. Basically, what are you going to do to build the trust in the community around? Because majority of the people have lost trust in the police and the crime preventers. Every time they watch TV, they say a police officer is arrested for a given crime. A crime preventer is arrested for a certain crime. So we believe the training they are getting is not for the good of the people. It's for to use it to do crimes. Okay. So what basically do you do on that? Thank you.
All right. Do you want to take that?
Yes. Before I answer the question, I don't think all thugs are from the street. They are not basically street children. We have to really come to reality and agree that we have a bigger challenge of youth, like you said, and unemployment at the same time. And that is something that we have to collectively address, both at our level as youth leaders, even by virtue of you being a graduate at the university, you are a leader, and the government stakeholders. And we have to organize these young people into production units. We have to organize these young people into production units.
What do you mean production units?
We have to get them projects.
Okay.
Not just getting them projects, we have to train them on how to manage these projects. We have to, government has done its part. You've had youth livelihood, you've had a lot of funds coming up.
Are those actually working? But carry on.
And so I feel we have a lot of work to do to organize these young people and make them production units, make them productive.
Most importantly, maybe on the mindset change, that we need to start instigating the mindset change right from the children.
Yeah, you know? She raised a question which I don't want to delve into whether they are working. That's another discussion.
Let's take a short break. We're coming back to this discussion. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Now, I'm going to read one comment that's come up on social media. Okay, there's quite a number, but I'll take this one. Elliot says on Facebook, he says, our country can be made safer when we get rid of such people as the untouchables. You have heard and read about armed Ugandans burning down civilians' vehicles and shooting civilians in broad daylight and the kind. And then another comment on Twitter is from Nicholas Sembatia, who says, there's a need to relaunch a law on gun control because these guns end up in the hands of wrong characters. But before we discuss that, let's respond to his question, please.
The question of trust. I feel, first, the question is not scientific because it is not based on the truth.
Why are you confusing us? Just answer the question.
What I'm trying to say is, one, for example, the community policing program is popular. You cannot talk about 11 million Ugandans and you say people don't trust the program. That is from our own, that's why I'm saying it's not scientific. Second, you cannot say police, people have no trust in police when we have thousands of people in crime preventers standing up to support the police. But it is...
Very quickly though, please.
Yes. It is really a disservice which the media has done. We have printout houses and media houses which are just mercenaries. They only do things to increase sales, to... If a crime, we have done millions of good work. But you're here
now, we've given you the platform to tell us what you're doing.
This is just one in a million.
Okay, I don't want our time to get finished on this.
You find out of the million things crime preventers do, they will not cover. But then they say a crime preventer has killed someone. It will occupy the front page of the new Daily
But it will be the truth.
For the whole week, including the weekend.
Yes, it should be hidden.
Okay, let's take one more question. Yeah.
No, again, let me say something in that direction. The trust of the police, let it start with you, dear viewer. Do you trust the police? If you don't, why? Is the problem with the police or with you?
Maybe because we've reported and nothing has been done. Or maybe because the police keeps promising us to give us investigation reports and we don't get
it. Remember, justice delayed is justice denied.
And justice rushed is justice crushed. Anyway, we've got really to communicate. One, to listen to members of the public, because we are police officers and they are not. They expect these things and sometimes we explain them in legalistic ways and that does not answer their question. So, solutions. One, make sure you have a friend who is a police officer. Just that. Start with your OC. If there are things you are not comfortable with, things that you don't understand, have the audacity to ask them. I've gone to places where they say, like I'm dressed, we are not sure you're a police officer. Show us your warrant card. I hug them. I say, this is the community I want to come to.
Do you have your warrant card?
Oh, yes, I do. Okay. And I show it to them. And when I do, of course, most of them will know. And they say, this is what we want. Because you calm down. This is what we want the communities to do. But let me take it to another level. I am a teacher by profession. Parents who tell their children, that teacher is a bad teacher, they will even fail that subject. So please, let's change what we say. Let's start with ourselves.
Let's do PR for the police.
And secondly, we come from you. We are your children. We are your husbands. So please, you must take a positive step to make sure that we communicate effectively.
I think the police has a lot to do to also, it's not really just us. I know a lot of people who are afraid to go to the police because maybe they feel that the police expects me to give a little something that I do not have, because we've seen these things happen.
Yes, and the action we take against those.
Josephine, for me, I want to be realistic on ground. By the way, I'm one person who recognizes the police of today, where it came from and, you know, how the operations are being done. It's far much better from the past, how people used to fear the police, the army, they were not friends with police. But what I expect from Afande here, when these comments come from the public, do not take it as they're blaming the police. You want to see a better police. That, trust is something which is built. You're not going to say people should trust. I will trust you when I go and report my case tomorrow and follow up and I get the result. Definitely, I will trust you. But if I keep on doing the same thing and it doesn't come out, and by the way, these are not sometimes a challenge as individuals, but it may come from the institution itself.
Fine.
Maybe due to understaffing, underfunding, or something which is not being done.
Actually, one of the comments that I've received is that the police is under-resourced with approximately 40,000 members of the police. That's a 1 to 950 ratio of police to civilian. Does the government plan on, or are you guys working with the...
Let me tell you, by the time I joined the police, it was far less. We are now 45,000 plus.
What's the ratio now?
Well, exactly what we have said.
It's still 1 to 950?
It's that big, eh? And on international standards, it should be 1 to 500. Eh? But we've moved so many steps ahead. I think 20,000 by the time I joined, some couple of years.
So this is at 40,000
so we have moved ahead.
Okay, I'm going to give you a platform to summarize, yes. But his question has been waiting, and I'm being told we have 2 minutes. So just ask your question so they can wrap up.
My name is Madama. My question goes to Afande Kaima. You're saying that the police doesn't work with the criminals, but basically what I'm not understanding, where do these criminals get their guns? whereby they use the guns to kill the people, and we are not getting everything. You're saying the police doesn't work with the criminals, but at some point, criminals are having guns. Where are they getting things?
Okay. So in your summary, because our time is fast spent, you
very quickly, it needs all of us to understand the geopolitics of this region. We have had a trouble in Sudan, trouble in Somalia, trouble in Rwanda, and some of these guns have been in the hands of criminals for some time. We know in some markets across our borders, they would buy guns, okay? And some guns have been stolen from our institutions. You remember an officer in Kajans was shot and the gun taken.
Yes.
In Impala, shot and the gun taken. But there are civilians who have civilian arms, and these are registered and they have licenses. Most of those don't go into crime. You only need one gun to terrorize the whole of Kampala and hide it. When we get it, we have some level of peace. So it's not that they are hired by police officers, no. But what we know, we are not angels, we are not. We are human beings who sometimes get into crime, but what we should tell Ugandans and what we do, those who get into crime are severely punished. Some of them through courts, and once you go that direction, bye, and we even publicize it. Our professional standards union will always update Ugandans on what we are doing. Why are we doing that? Because we want to account to the country that we serve.
I have 1 minute left, but I'd like you to briefly touch on the untouchable. Somebody said it, and I think it's important we just don't leave it. The people, armed Ugandans burning down civilians' vehicles, shooting civilians in broad daylight, and all of that.
When you talk of the untouchables, I see it as arrogance. Some Ugandans are arrogant.
And
really.
there's a lot of confidence now.
They are arrogant, but arrogance is a sign of weakness. They're just weak. Question is, do you know what you deserve? If you do you stand your ground?
With somebody holding a gun to my head, I don't think I can stand my ground.
That's an exaggeration in my view.
Okay.
I don't know anybody who shot someone during broad daylight and they went scot-free. I don't know any.
Okay.
If anybody knows,
if you'd
please.
like to very quickly give us your final remarks.
Well, for me, I think not all hopes are lost for Ugandans. I commend the police for the work they're doing, that they just need to do more of getting to the people and be more of proactive than being reactive. And the response, we should, if you know something has happened somewhere, let's not wait that there's no fuel in the car, so I can't come.
And from the perspective of the youth, would you like to say something about that?
Yes, absolutely. For me, I would just maybe say that the youth should really be pioneers of peace. They shouldn't be perpetrators of conflict. Okay. Because whatever environment we are setting up now, we'll definitely live in it for the next 30 to 40 years. Right. So I really pray that any young person out there who looks at crime as a source of employment, looks at a crime as something of getting rich fast, that is the wrong mindset.
All right, and Blaze, just one line, I'm being told to get out.
Yes, I want to thank the young people across the country. They are the ones who have embraced supporting the police through crime prevention. 90% of the 11 million, they are just young people. I want to thank them, and they have to have confidence that the future is bright. We are doing well.
Can I conclude also?
One line.
to the youth, the future is for you if you are ready to embrace it. What are you doing in terms of seeking knowledge, in terms of getting the skills? The rest of us will find you along the way. Hitler said, it's not worth quoting here, but you know Hitler said that when you are in the limelight, everybody follows you. When you're in darkness, not even your shadow. So please do something that markets you, that makes you a better person, and then everybody will follow you.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you all of you for watching, and our studio audience for joining us this Sunday. That was Perspective this week. Join us again, same time, same place next Sunday. Coming up is NTV Weekend Edition. Please stay tuned.